What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. And Jiminy Crickets, has November been a busy month for video games? But of course, for those of you who have been gaming for years and follow industry trends, you'll know that this is always a busy time of year leading up to the holidays. And once again, my apologies for getting this review out so late, but I just did my review for Fallout 76 and Red Dead Redemption 2, and we all know how massive that game is. Also, make sure that you have those notifications on because Christmas came early this year. I got a huge shipment of some really awesome products. We're definitely going to end the year really strong, and you will not be disappointed, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so let's get the obvious out of the way first. We all know EA, and we know that they have some pretty shady business practices. They've definitely been in the news a lot for all the wrong reasons, right? And as we're understanding now, because it's been in the news, a lot of other countries have been really cracking down on loot boxes. I mean, there are lawsuits like crazy. This stuff is getting real serious now, guys. Love them or hate them, if you've got a review channel, it's part of your job to review these things. So this is my official review of Battlefield 5. Let's take a closer look. Well, zippity frickin' doo-dah, what the hell do you know? There's actually a campaign in this game. Now look, I'm not one of those ones to jump on the bandwagon, and I don't always give EA credit, but I do have to admit, I'm very thankful that they, took the time to actually put something of substance in this game, like a campaign mode. At least they made their best effort. And props to them for bucking industry trends, and I know this is a little bit different for Battlefield, for not putting a stupid Battle Royale mode in something that really doesn't need it. Now, I'm not going to crap on Call of Duty for wanting to be innovative and including a Battle Royale mode. I understand that they want that market, but not at the expense of a campaign, especially in Black Ops, which is one of my favorite campaigns ever in the series. So, you know what? I'm going to call you out on your BS, and I did it in my review of Call of Duty 4. There was just no excuse for that. Now, one of the things that is very impressive about Battlefield 5, especially for me, is the intro. This particular era in military history is absolutely fascinating for me, and I like that they let you play little snippets of much grander battles. Whether it's paratrooping in the frozen lands of the Norbik Dock or perfectly perched sniping at the Kasserine Pass, it's all very exhilarating. Now, just like Battlefield 1, you do get 5 separate campaigns with sort of interlocking stories, which I thought was pretty cool. Each of them unlocks as you complete them, and while they're not revolutionary stories, they are original enough to keep you invested in the characters, and the campaigns are very different from one another, which really breaks up some of the monotony and gives you a real sense of variety. Now, one of the things that I really did like about their campaign is how organic they were, and they're really not linear at all. You can tackle objectives in any order that you want, so you're not kind of boxed in. You also have a few more options depending on your playstyle of how you want to take down objectives, whether you want to be stealthy or if you want to go Rambo style or go loud and plow your way through these objectives. There are a few more game mechanics that you also find in the Battlefield which were kind of tried a little bit before, but I think more refined here. One of them is being able to tag targets while you're on the battlefield, which I thought was pretty cool, very similar to what we see in the Phantom Pain or various other shooters. It's really awesome, and I like the ability of being able to track targets, especially multiples, when you're in these big sandbox areas. Now, one of the things that I did notice in this game, mostly because it didn't give me motion sickness, and something that's always been a gripe for me in the Battlefield series, is the motion in general. It's been more refined here, and you're not bobbing your head as much whenever you're crouching or whenever you're crawling through the grass. I know that they want to simulate realism, but for those of us who are looking at it from this perspective, all it does is just gives us motion sickness and makes us want to vomit. Some other refinements that I noticed, especially when you're picking up ammo or picking up items in general, is that you don't really need to press or hold anything down as much as you did in previous games. You can simply run up to them, and if you're missing any kind of ammo, it will automatically load it into your inventory or ammo count. I can't tell you how many times, especially when I was playing online, I was getting killed simply because I was trying to pick up ammo or trying to pick up a weapon. Those times have been closed off a lot more so that you're more focused on the gameplay and the battle at hand. There's also this really cool animation that happens whenever you have to pick up a musette pack or a grenadier or something like that. It really shows to your face that you picked it up, so there is a little bit of feedback there letting you know what ammo count you have, and I found this system to be a lot more intuitive, just so you know what you have, which is pretty cool. Now, one of my favorite things about this game is definitely the vehicle battles, particularly the tank battles. Now, they were pretty cool in Battlefield 1, but where you really get a chance to see this mechanization in these massive battles is definitely in World War II. My only criticism in Battlefield 5 is that I wish that they can simulate those battles or have a vehicles only section where you can really take advantage of not only the gameplay but also these massive battles that took place during the Second World War. And I think that was a missed opportunity. I hope that maybe we see that in the future, or it might be a mode or a patch that they might release later on. But I really hope they do this. Now, dogfighting in Battlefield 1, I didn't really pay too much attention to because, let's face it, it's not very exciting to dogfight with biplanes. However, World War II, on the other hand, is where it's at, and it is definitely exhilarating sitting in a P-51 or some kind of Messerschmitt and dogfighting, especially when you're attacking bombers. The air battles here are awesome, and I have to admit, they really refined the controls again to make the interface a little more inclusive, a little more forgiving, and a little more user-friendly so that you're not kamikazing yourself into the side of a mountain or into another plane. But again, just like vehicle battles, the only thing missing here is dedicated servers so that you can dogfight online exclusively and have those tank battles exclusively in other matches. That would be awesome, and I hope that they do this. Again, wishful thinking. And of course, just like every popular first-person shooter, you have really two classes of players. Those who like the campaigns, get invested in the story, love the narrative, and those who give a rat's ass about the campaign and go straight on to multiplayer. Very similar to the campaigns, the online functionality is divided up into different modes, with Grand Operation, Airborne, Final Stand, Conquest, Breakthrough, Frontlines, Domination, and your traditional team deathmatch. Now fortunately, there's a lot of modes here, and because of it, it does give you the option of choosing what kind of battlefield you want to get into online. Some of them are straight up battles in which you have clear objectives in order to win the match. Of all the modes, I think Airborne is probably the most unique, as you're actually paratrooping from a C-47 into a combat zone, which is pretty cool. I actually like the design of this mode. It's not one of the larger maps and it's actually smaller in scale, but I do like the fresh approach to smaller scale battles. It's really cool. Now overall, graphically, this game is absolutely stunning, especially if you're playing it in 4K, though I did notice that in some of the modes, the resolution is very muddy and the textures look horrible. Now I'm not sure if this is just a bug that needs to be patched, but some of the modes I didn't want to play just because of how much of an eyesore it was. So let's just hope that's a temporary thing and there'll be an update to fix that, because it's a real shame. Some of these modes are really cool, but you definitely see the differences graphically when you're playing other more refined maps. Now, one of the other cool aspects of multiplayer is the fact that you don't have to have a certain class in order to help out a teammate. This time around, whenever you're hit, before you automatically respawn, you have the opportunity to reach out to a teammate and see if he can revive you. And this is actually a pretty cool function. However, I have to admit, most players are more preoccupied with themselves rather than helping someone else. So it is what it is. Now, one of the reasons I think that they did this in these modes is because I did notice that your life bar is a lot more diminished this time around. I mean, you will go down very easily in this game, and I think they did that to kind of counterbalance that factor, because trust me guys, sometimes I just get hit once with a weapon and I'm down, and it is frustrating at times. I don't know if they just wanted to change up the mix or get people back into the action as quick as possible, but you do have to be aware of that. You die a lot quicker in this game. Ultimately though, there's not much new to talk about Battlefield 5. It's certainly not a bad game, but it's not stellar or extraordinary. I think really for many players returning to the Battlefield series, it has to do with the setting. World War II is absolutely fascinating. And I think for many people returning to this series, it had very little to do in terms of expectations of any grand innovations, and it really had to do with the environment that you'll be fighting in. I think this is where Call of Duty really missed its mark, because a Battlefield obviously is a little more substantial in terms of its combat and its grandeur and scale, and I think this is the right mix. World War II is synonymous with grand scale battles, and this is where Battlefield really excels, and the perfect setting obviously is World War II. Battlefield is kind of an odd game that was released at a very odd time, or maybe the perfect time, depending on how you look at it. Do I recommend Battlefield 5? Yes, absolutely. It is a strong shooter, it has a great campaign, and you'll have endless amounts of fun on the online multiplayer. Did I have any grand expectations for Battlefield 5? No, none at all. But I'm still having a lot of fun, and it is worth the $60. Especially for the campaign, guys. Simply because it's there. Call of Duty, I really hope you're taking notes. Now before I go, I just want to thank today's sponsor, FMB Collectibles Incorporated, for making this review possible. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Battlefield 5. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.
Ugh!